Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Lig and the memory Puddler. The memory Puddler is a magic item, excuse me, that is found on the body of Lig. Now, Lig is the wizard who is found at the beginning of the Drudigar VidQuest by the player characters. And he is dying, and he has one last request for the player characters, and then he dies, okay? And then, so when the players check his body, they will find certain items, including the following, all right? So one thing they're going to find is they're going to find 800 gold pieces, and they'll find a gem worth 500 gold pieces, okay? On him. In addition to that, they will find the memory Puddler, okay? Now, before I get into the memory Puddler, I just want to talk a little bit more about Lig. So Lig is a 20th level wizard. He is lawful good, okay? And he belongs to a powerful wizard school called Lightwell, okay? And he's a respected member of that wizard school, okay? One of the other things is when he dies, it might be that one of your players may attempt to revivify him or resurrect him, okay? And they will find that they are not able to do that. The spells fail, okay? Now, they really shouldn't investigate this, because you, as a dungeon master, it's your idea to convey to them that there is a very distinct sense of urgency about Drudigar. Now, Drudigar is Lig's mount. He's a dire wolf, okay? And he is headed toward a village where he will, and he's currently enraged because he just saw his master attacked and pin-cushioned with a whole bunch of arrows, right? And his master, demanded that Drudigar leave and run, right? So Drudigar is a dire wolf who's reverted back to his savage predator nature. He is carrying 4 of Lig's spell books, which contain, he's carrying the set of Lig spell books, which contain every single spell in the player's handbook, which Lig was capable of casting every single one. And they are, by the way, it's all wizard spells. It's just all wizard spells in the PHB. So basically, they really shouldn't investigate, because there's a sense of urgency that the player characters should need to catch Drudigar. But you guys are dungeon masters, and you know that the players often do things that we don't expect, right? So if they do investigate it, they will find that the reason that he is not able to be revivified or resurrected is that the spot, that particular tree that he slumped together and that his lifeblood ran out on, was desecrated in the past. Not only was it desecrated, but there was a ritual done, which anyone that dies within about a half a mile of that spot is not going to be able to be revivified or resurrected, okay? All right, so now, if they go to all the trouble to find that out, you should just have them, when they get to Drudigar, he should have eaten half the village and moved on, right? because they, you communicated that, and that's going to be a very different adventure, but that's what should happen. Your world should move forward, right? And so yeah, that's one way that your adventure can end there. All right, so let's talk about the memory Puddler. All right. So one of the magic items that will be found on Lig is the memory Puddler. Now, what the player characters will find is the memory Puddler appears if they do any kind of spells to identify if something's magic. They will find that the memory Puddler, of course, is magic, but it looks like a complete standard canteen, right? So, I'm sorry, not a canteen, but essentially a water jug. It looks just like a simple water jug that you would keep on your, like a flask you would keep on your hip, okay? So this water jug, the memory Puddler, it never runs out of water, okay? So if somebody, so basically, if you pour it out on the ground, it will just keep pouring. All right. Now it won't pour at a high rate or anything. It'll just keep pouring. All right. But the way it's actually designed to be used is that someone would pour out some. So it has multiple purposes. So one, you can pour it out onto the ground, and if you pour it out onto a substance where the water remains and it puddles, it activates a special ability. And in that puddle, okay, if the user begins to, so one, if the user is silent for just 15 seconds and looks into the puddle that's been made, they will see a memory that they will see essentially. They'll see specifically someone who has talked into one of these puddles previously, right? So essentially what the player characters will see is they will see, if they're silent for 15 seconds in the puddle, if they look in, right, they will see Lig talking, right? And he will be talking about something that happened during his life. And the way that these little vignettes were made was he would pour out a puddle, activating another ability of the memory puddler, and he would speak to it, and essentially it would capture everything he said. And then, at that point, when he put the cap back onto the memory puddler, that would be captured inside so that it can be poured out at another time. Now, another thing that the memory puddler. So I'll give you an example of one of the memories that Lig puts into it. So one of the memories that the player characters will be able to see if they investigate this magic item is Lig will talk about when he got Drudigar. Okay, so early in his career, Lig was with a band of adventurers, and with that adventure there was a barbarian. And they had just completed a successful quest, and they were actually fat with cash, and they were headed to another town, and they were in the woods, and they came across an area where they saw some direwolf prints. Well, the barbarian immediately became very alert, and actually, in just a few moments, a big mother direwolf attacked their party, okay? And that mother direwolf actually killed the sorcerer who was in their party, okay? And the barbarian went into a rage and went over and actually just snapped the mother direwolf's neck, okay? Now, at that point, the barbarian had taken care of the threat. They searched the area and they found 4 puppies, direwolf puppies, okay? And at that point, Lig took one of them, and then the barbarian took 2 of them, and the only remaining member of their party, the rogue, took the 4th, okay? Now, at that point, the barbarian was deeply upset because he hadn't meant to kill that direwolf. He only did it because he went into a rage, and he becomes very upset. And he actually tells Lig and the rogue, hey, you know what, I'm going back to my village. I need to talk to the shaman there and see if, see what I can do to recompense for what happened. Well, the barbarian goes off, and Lig and Rogue go to the other town, and they wait there a full month and a half for the barbarian to return. But the barbarian never returned. And then the Rogue and Lig actually split up, and their adventuring party was dissolved at that point, okay? But Lig actually left with Drudigar, his direwolf puppy, okay? And Drudigar would then grow up to be a very robust direwolf, and Lig would very respectfully and gently train him to be a mount. And also it becomes very clear to the player characters that Drudigar was way more than his mount. He was really a friend, and that Drudigar and Lig were, they were best buddies, and they had a long adventuring career together. And also, so that is the memory that they will get. They'll also get other. If the player characters continue to pour these out, you can add whatever memories you want, for Lig that are consistent with everything I've said. That he was a member of Lightwell. He's lawful good. He's a 20th level sorcerer. He has had a long career. So you can add in all kinds of things that make your game more robust that fit with Lag, right? But one of the other things, though, is if they continue to pour out the puddles, you don't have to tell them the specific memories, but one of the things you can tell them is that is different impressions they come away with. And one of them is that becomes very clear is that Lag actually had lived for over 300 years. And the reason why is he had been using spells to prolong his life, and he also was using spells to prolong Drudigar's life, and Drudigar is over 175 years old, okay, which is older than a direwolf would generally live. All right, so so that's another thing that'll come out through the memory puddle. Now let me explain another ability that the memory puddler has, okay? So actually, just the way that Lag actually put his memories, actually did these vignettes and put them into the memory puddler, the player characters can do the same thing. If they pour out a puddle and they start talking in the first 10 seconds and they lean over and look directly into the pool, it will capture everything they say, and then that will be added in with all of the things that Lag had put in, right? And it's actually an artifact, and it's a powerful artifact, and it really has no bottom, right? It'll capture as much speaking and wisdom and memories as the player characters wish to put into it. Okay, so it's a weird mix of a journal and all these other things. It also has one last ability that is very, very unusual. If a player character drinks from the memory puddler, then what will happen is they'll get a swirl of memories from when Lag used one of his skills. Okay, so of course one of his skills was investigation. So he had investigation. So if that player character did not have investigation, then they will at that point get investigation. And essentially, if the player characters do not have any of the skills that Lag has, they'll get one of those. However, this can only be done 3 times. When the memory puddler has been drunk from 3 times, at that point it'll give out 3 distinct different skills that the player character doesn't have that Lag had at some point, and then that's it. It will stop. It actually will lose all magic, and it will just become a water jug, a traditional water jug, and everything in it will be lost. Okay, so that is Lag's memory puddler. Thank you.